What is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Today we're going to be talking about WWE's Money in the Bank 2025 show that's going to be coming to you live from Los Angeles. Most people know that I live in California. Every single time there's the show in California, for the longest time I was asked, are you going to be going to SummerSlam? Are you going to be going to Raw? It's like those shows are in Los Angeles and, San Diego. And most people don't know that California is really long, and basically, even if I was to jump in my car and drive to LA, it is easily probably an 8-hour drive nonstop. For most people, you're gonna do it in 9 to 10. You stop to get gas, stop to get food, stop to stretch your legs a little bit along the way. It is possible to be able to do that drive. And then honestly, I made the drive from Los Angeles to San Diego one time in my life. I will never make that drive again in my life. That drive was as long as the drive that was from Sacramento all the way down to Los Angeles. Just too many people, way too much traffic. I wish I was going to this show. I really wish I had an unlimited amount of money to be able to head over to this. But when tickets first went on sale, I understand that it's at a new arena where the Los Angeles Clippers play. For one, I'm surprised that they're able to do it. Number two, I'm surprised that the Clippers are not like throwing some sort of a stink. I've seen that the shirts that they're going to be selling for John Cena, they're actually going to be purple and gold, and they're going to be Lakers colors. I would have thought that the Clippers would have been like, no Lakers clap in our arena. We're only going to be selling the red, white, and blue Clippers colors. And I think that honestly, the shirts look awesome. They look really, really cool. I know that Cena has sort of taken on the sports theme of each and every city. When he was in Knoxville for SmackDown, I have not picked it up yet, but I want to get a Tennessee orange John Cena shirt. I will put it with my red one. I will put it with my what was the one for Vegas? Was it black? I know they had the black and gold one that I ended up not getting, because I'm like, I already have this other Las Vegas shirt. I don't need to have two of them, even though this commemorates 17 times as a champion for John Cena. But I wish I was overly ecstatic about this show. I think at one point I was very, very excited for this show, but for some reason, I just I've kind of lost it a little bit. Main event is just a normalized tag match. It has two of the best gimmick matches that there is in WWE. Not only do you get a ladder match that will conclude with somebody being the winner, then that winner basically for the next period of time, every single time you're thinking about what's going to happen on Raw, what's going to happen on SmackDown, what's going to happen on now Saturday night's main event, what's going to happen on the upcoming pay-per-view. You have to think, like, what is the champion doing? Is the champion going to be put in some sort of a position to where this Money in the Bank winner could come out on top and steal a championship? It's always fun when it's sort of like a mid-carder that has the Money in the Bank that is like, on the bridge of like getting to that main event spot. Most people think about like when Dolph Ziggler cashed in at the Raw after WrestleMania 29, how big of a moment that was, how huge the pop was. People loved Dolph, and people wanted Dolph to get that spot. It just sucks that once he got the championship, he suffered a concussion. He was forced to lose the belt without actually losing it in a match. And he kind of never, ever really got back to that spot again. Like Finn Balor, when he won the Universal Championship at SummerSlam for the first time. It's almost like you're a champion, you have an injury, you're not able to compete. They kind of label you as an injury guy for your rest of your time, and you're not able to really crash the mountain. As of right now, there's only 4 matches for the show. We've got Cody and Jey Uso going up against John Cena and Logan Paul. We've got a men's Money in the Bank, a women's Money in the Bank, and as of right now, we've got Lyra Valkyrie going up against Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I understand that Cody and Cena are SmackDown guys. Jey Uso and Logan Paul are Raw guys. So that match kind of equals each other out. We've got the women's and the men's match basically having a mix of both in there. Your Lyra Valkyrie versus Becky Lynch is a Raw match. So is SmackDown going to get this other match that's going to be there? I'll throw this out to you. As the end of Raw was coming down, and just basically everybody was fighting everybody. We had Big Bronson Reed in there. We had Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles. When AJ jumped to the outside, I was like, dude, this isn't even your fight. This is mostly about Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, CM Punk. It was almost like they were setting up some sort of a 3-on-3, almost like War Games would be right around the corner. Finding a way to, if we have 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 and something like that. But, I was kind of really surprised that CM Punk wasn't booked for this show. We have Worlds Collide happening earlier in the day before Money in the Bank. And is he going to be there? Is he going to be an announcer? Is he going to do something maybe on the pre-show? When he was injured, he sort of filled in as that role that people like to see him around. He's a really, really big name. It's just kind of really surprising that they're going to give Punk maybe the weekend off or something like that for a big LA-like pay-per-view. Now, I know they're doing like mini meet and greets, much like an Access. I don't know if Punk's on the list, so they're kind of giving it away. But I was almost wondering, like, why we're not getting a Punk and Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker tag match. I thought that would, add a lot of names. You would throw these guys into the mix. I don't know if that's the last match that's going to be named. I do know that when you go over, you look at SmackDown, you've got Vega. She could put her United States Women's Championship on the line. Maybe they could have a tag team match. Both of those titles in the tag division are both looking really strong. That would add to it. But kind of 5 seems like the maximum number of matches. Or maybe they're not even adding a match. Maybe these Money in the Bank ladder matches are going to be almost hour-long affairs, and it's going to soak up most of the time for the show. And they're just looking to go out there and just throw up straight classics. So I'm not telling you that I'm excited about it. I can guarantee you, I think it's 4 o'clock on the West Coast. I'll double check to be 100% sure. I know I will be sitting on my couch in order to watch this show. There's going to be plenty of pops. There's going to be plenty of surprises that come along during this. One of the biggest things that is going to come up during this this pay-per-view is, I bet Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul is going to be your main event match of a pay-per-view. Logan Paul in a main event. Yeah, we're at that place in 2025. I basically, in the last month to 2 months, have became one of the biggest Logan Paul fans when it comes to the world of wrestling. I just flat out say I don't really know anything that he does outside of wrestling. He can do whatever he wants to as long as he shows up on Raw, as long as he keeps showing up on these pay-per-views, and just blowing my mind. The guy can wrestle. The fact that John Cena wants to go out there and wrestle with him means that he's trying to put over the people of tomorrow. I've seen a few interactions between the two. WWE put up the video when they were at the Raw in LA for the first Netflix Raw, and at that time Logan Paul, I think, was starting the rumor that they were going to do Paul versus Cena at WrestleMania, and Logan Paul was telling Cena that he would love to work with him one day. We might not ever get a one-on-one match, but here we are, teaming together, putting over the guy for tomorrow. I think this is going to be a damn good show, and come the end of this show, no matter what, your WWE champion, your world heavyweight champion are both going to be in the ring when you've got your men's Money in the Bank winner waiting in the wings. Now, things get sticky, and we'll come up to it when we get to that point. But if you really think about it, Gunther already has a guaranteed match against Jey Uso on Monday. More than likely, if anybody takes any kind of damage in this match, Jey Uso is going to be banged up. Coming off of the promo in the back with Gunther, basically talking about how big of a friend he is. He's selfless. He puts everybody in front of himself. But, you know, when it comes down to it and you need help, who's going to be there to help you? If Seth comes out to cash in on Jey Uso, wouldn't Gunther come down to cut off that cash in? I'm not saying that Gunther needs to turn babyface, but Gunther already has a shot come Monday. But why would he want to fight Rollins when he can fight and already beat up Jey Uso? So maybe that is something that could come, you know, building off of their sort of friendly conversation almost they had in the back. Yeah, I mean, you know, they took jabs at each other, but when it comes down to it, they were able to be in the same room, have a conversation, and nobody threw any blows. So that's one thing to think about. In the end, I think honestly that Gunther should not be long for Monday Night Raw if we're going to have the reign of Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker. It doesn't really make sense to have a group of menacing heels and then have another heel that could beat up anybody at the same time. You know, you don't need to have the NWO be heel and then also have the Giant be heel of WCW at the same time, where they're not together. Both of them are fighting for different reasons, but, you know, you don't need to have... Somebody's got to beat somebody. You know what I mean? So Gunther moving over to SmackDown honestly would make a lot of sense to me. So maybe that is something that is coming in the future. But when it comes down to it, I think Cody and Jey Uso are going to get the win in their tag match. I think Seth Rollins is going to get the win in the men's Money in the Bank match. And then when it comes to the women's match, I don't know. I thought I had it pretty much all locked up, that Mommy was going to win this thing. I thought Rhea Ripley, you know, she got the big, you know, promo in the back last week, talking about being, you know, Mommy in the Bank and this, that, and the other. But Stephanie Bakir, she loses her NXT title. She moves to Monday Night Raw. In her first match on Monday Night Raw, she gets a promo describing who she is, where she came from, how long she's been a wrestling fan. And she goes out there and she wins her match. Her Raw debut wins her ticket to Money in the Bank. As of right now, I think Stephanie Bakir you're going to be your women's Money in the Bank winner. I think that would be an awesome story. Rhea Ripley, I understand that she's lost a few matches along the way. She's always looked like she's indestructible. But I think she's going to need to have like some sort of a look in the mirror, come to Jesus meeting, where she picks it up and turns it around. And she's always going to be a threat. Anytime you look at her, you think that she's going to be there. When it comes to the Women's Intercontinental Championship match with Lyra Valkyrie and Becky Lynch, Becky was a big star when I watched wrestling, and Becky was a big star as I faded out of watching wrestling. I know who she is. Lyra Valkyrie kind of snuck up on me in this last year where I really dove back into wrestling. I'm not going to come on here and lie to you guys and tell you that I know tons about Lyra Valkyrie. People are picking her to lose this match and Becky to win because of the stipulation Becky Lynch made, where she says that I will never challenge you for that belt again. I don't look at Lyra Valkyrie as somebody that they're pushing right now that is going to be the Intercontinental Champion until the end of days in WWE. Will she hold that title for a while? Will she hold that title more times than she has right now? Yeah, but I think she is going to move up the card. And when I heard Becky Lynch say that I would never challenge you for that title again, I think that she will challenge Lyra Valkyrie for the Women's Championship, for Raw or SmackDown, and be able to say that I said that championship, not that championship. So I'm picking Lyra to win this match. I don't know a ton about her, but I can tell that, you know, with the little bird chants, woo, as she comes out to the ring and her big costume, that she's awesome. I just don't know enough about her, haven't seen her enough. and that's 100% on me. I'm not saying that she's boring or bland or anything like that. It's just, I faded out of wrestling. I definitely wasn't watching NXT, and some of these women snuck up on me, and I need to see more of them. And on Saturday, come 4 o'clock, I'll be watching this. So we'll see. Money in the Bank. Let's go. All right, this Saturday, WWE's Money in the Bank, we're going to be having the women's Money in the Bank match take place. And in this match, honestly, we got 3 real rookies inside of this match. Julia, Stephanie Vakir, as well as Roxanne Perez are all going to be wrestling inside of this match. Of course, we had Roxanne Perez. She won the Money in the Bank match in a match over Natalya as well as Becky Lynch. In that match, I really thought that Becky Lynch was going to be the winner, and she would go on to compete in the Money in the Bank. I was wrong on that one. Julia, she earned her spot into the Money in the Bank with a win over Selena Vega as well as Charlotte Flair. That one shocked the hell out of me. I sure thought that Charlotte was going to be inside of this. She made a return. She goes to WrestleMania. She doesn't win the big one. And I thought they would find another way to sort of get her back in to the whole deal. And then last night, Stephanie Vakir comes out. She made basically her job on Raw look so easy. But even in that match, I looked at Liv Morgan as the favorite inside of this match. So it's been really hard to sort of pick what's going on. Roxanne Perez, she had a very, very good early of 2025. She won the longest time in the WWE's Royal Rumble for the women. That, of course, doesn't really get you anything in the long run. But, I mean, like, to go into your first Royal Rumble and come out with being the longest surviving person in the match, one hell of a way for WWE to put you over, that you know what you're doing out there. And then, of course, she competes in the Elimination Chamber. I went out on a limb. I picked her as like a Cinderella story to come out of nowhere, that I was like, they're doing something with her. She didn't win. It blew up in my face, but I was just like, damn. I can honestly tell you, I talked in the last video, basically about Lyra Valkyrie. Just, there's women in the division I don't really know about. Julia, she's not been in WWE, honestly, for a really, really long time. I don't know where I first heard about her, when she came on the radar that she'd signed with WWE. I felt like I knew about her, but even now that she's on the main roster, I'm looking forward to it. But she's just not somebody that I know enough about. Stephanie Vakir, I apologize, but I'm one of the people in the world, the one thing I know about her more than anything else is the way Booker T grunts when she does her move. When I call it, she's like pounding her butt into the ring with her face. It's just, it is a very dirty move. I mean, when it comes to women's wrestling, if somebody walked in the room when that was really going down, I think it's called the Devil's Kiss or something close to that. Like, how do you explain that? Like, if your mom walks in and Stephanie Vakir is just ramming somebody, and you got Booker T on the outside. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Crazy world. The year for Naomi really has not gone the way that I thought it was going to. I thought that we're really telling a story with her, Bianca Belair, as well as who planned the attack, and Naomi was the one who took all of the blame and said it was me, and then Bianca got to run away acting like she knew nothing about it. And I thought once the match at WrestleMania went down, I felt that we were going to get back into that story and it was going to kind of dissolve. It seems like everything's just faded away, and Jade was in that match, and it was like sort of like, oh, wink wink, like there was a time when this was a big match at WrestleMania, and now it's just kind of like a throwaway that they're in the same three-way trying to compete for Money in the Bank. But I don't know, Naomi being here was really, really a surprise. Alexa Bliss. I'll tell you this much. There's people out there that are real big Alexa Bliss fans. At one point, when she was in NXT, I liked her as a wrestler. Then she became a manager for Blake and Murphy. She got over in my mind. She didn't wrestle, honestly, for a really, really long time. And it was never really said like she has an injury. It was almost like they were just trying her out as a manager. She gets moved up to the main roster. She wins like 2 women's championships in the matter of no time at all. And becomes like one of the biggest names on the main roster. And it almost showed you that like NXT, you try some things and like they know where you're at, and when you're ready, they're gonna move you up. And Bliss, she had some time where she just got to be able to try to be a manager. Most people, when they move you into roles where you're managing or you're commentating, it's almost them like saying like your wrestling career is done. We don't need you to do that, so let's try and find you something else before we gotta send you on your way. But the big dog in this match is Rhea Ripley. When Rhea Ripley won her match to be able to say that she was going to be in the women's Money in the Bank, I thought it was a lock. I mean, she was the first person that I pointed at and was like, they're going to do this Money in the Bank thing. They're going to be playing it up. She's going to be carrying around the briefcase. And I don't think there's one person on the women's roster that Rhea Ripley does not scare. Maybe like, somebody like Charlotte Flair would like stand up to her. But I think that, Rhea Ripley comes into a room. Even some of the guys on the roster are going to be like, hey, it's time for us to find a new room. Let's move on down the way. Alexa Bliss, the big thing with her is like, is she connected to the Wyatt Six? Have they gave up on Bliss and the Wyatt Six? Why is she still carrying around the doll? I don't really know how, if she was to win this match, how this plays into what's going on. Roxanne Perez, if she brought the women's Money in the Bank to the Judgment Day's locker room, does that sort of improve on what she's doing? On Monday, I really had a plan that I thought Finn was bringing Roxanne into the Judgment Day to try and steal Dom and try to, screw over Liv Morgan for what she's done, breaking up his group in the Judgment Day. When Finn won the tag match with JD, I think that the plans have changed, because Finn gave a wink to Roxanne. It's almost like Finn's the one going after Roxanne now. I don't really know. Maybe just the 2 dudes in Judgment Day are going to have, badass chicks, and they're also going to have Raquel out there looking around for like where the hell Carlito is and why he's not bugging her anymore. Julia would be a real big surprise, but then again, I don't really know. Naomi, I don't know. I don't really know or understand what they're doing with Naomi. I think that she has things that will add to this match to make it better, but I would think that if anybody in this match, she would be the last person that I would put money on to win this match. Not anything negative about Naomi or anything like that. Like, I just don't think that she's going to be your woman's Money in the Bank winner. And then on Monday, when Stephanie Fekir was about to come out for her ring, Ivy Nile as well as Liv Morgan were already in the ring. And then all of a sudden, Netflix just starting the Who is Stephanie Fekir video. And it went over everything in her past, where, who her parents are, where she was born, how she became a wrestling fan, how she got into wrestling, where she started wrestling, where she's been wrestling, what she's done, how she got here. And I was just like, that chick's winning this match. I think that that's one hell of a way to welcome somebody to the main roster. She doesn't have to cash in the first night. She doesn't have to run out, and challenge Becky Lynch or Lyra Valkyrie. But that is one thing that we kind of have to think about. We all laughed when Austin Theory cashed in to go after the United States Championship. But they have opened that door. You don't have to challenge for the Women's Championship on Raw or SmackDown. You're able to challenge for any belt along the way. I wonder if they could open up the door for Roxanne Perez, that, if she found a partner, if she had a friend. We all know that her and Julia did not work out. But if she was to find somebody else, what if she cashed in on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez and switched the titles? It honestly kind of seems like a waste, but I think that would be a real big, wow, they're doing something with this Judgment Day finally. The story's fun. It's just, it seems like it always has a lot more like what ifs, and this could be really cool, and we'll see where we get to. But 50-50, I think it honestly has to come down to Stephanie Fekir or Rhea Ripley. And right now, I'm just feeling Stephanie Fekir as the winner of the Money in the Bank women's match. That's the woman that I'm going to be putting my money on to win this one. Stephanie Fekir, Money in the Bank. All right, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. WWE's Money in the Bank 2025, the men's edition. Basically, this is 6 guys packed into this match. I'll tell you that when it comes to picking who is going to win the ladder match spots in their qualifiers on Raw and SmackDown, I think that honestly, LA Knight as well as Seth Rollins was the only qualifying match that I got. When I'm looking at the card, we've got a card featuring Penta, we've got Andrade, we've got El Grande Americano. Those were 3 really big upsets. I think they're kind of just pointing at their connection with CMLL. Now that they have bought the company, they're going to be having the Win Worlds Collide pay-per-view go down right before Money in the Bank. I think it's in the same arena where basically they're going to fill the place up. The show's going to end. They're going to kick everybody out. And then they're going to, fill it back up again for the Money in the Bank show. I'd hate to be going in there. You got popcorn. You got sodas filled all over your seat. Trying to figure it out. But if I could break it down for you, this won't take a long time to really get through. But Andrade was a guy in WWE when he got called up from NXT. I want to say it was like 2016, maybe it was 2017. When he got, the superstar shakeup and he got called up to SmackDown, I really thought this guy was going to be World Heavyweight Champion within a year. I definitely thought he was going to be fighting in the main events of SmackDown within a year. I thought that he was such a huge talent with Vega on the outside that there was no doubt in my mind that he had it written all over him. I don't remember how long he stayed in WWE before asking for his release and then going to AEW. Whether that was like 2019, 2020 when they were first getting going, and then just being like, wow, they gave him his release. They're just handing a main event guy to AEW. It didn't work out there. And then once it all came down, he came back to WWE. And I don't want to say that I had my hopes up. I wasn't saying that, they were going to push this guy to the main event again. I thought he was just somebody coming back to the company. He would be able to be on the road with his wife, and they'd be able to be together more. And maybe that was just a point in his career that he wanted to be in. He gets divorced, and I was like, I don't really understand what the hell's going on. And I thought he would be a guy that just sort of wrestled good matches and just kind of held on to his spot on the card. And I never thought that he'd be added to this Money in the Bank match. He is honestly one of the biggest surprises to me. When I looked at AJ Styles and CM Punk, I really thought that Punk was going to win last night. El Grande Americano came from behind. He was able to win the match, and Chad Gable is going to be wrestling twice on Saturday, once on the One Worlds Collide show, once here in this ladder match. I know they got huge things for it, but there was no doubt in my mind. I think I broke down that video pretty fast on who I thought was going to win on Monday, and I don't think he had a chance. If you were able to bet in Vegas, if you were to walk up to the table, I think they would have took whatever bet you wanted, because I don't think anybody thought there was a chance in hell that El Grande Americano was going to pull out a win there. When I look at the other guys in this match, Solo Sikoa. I'm a fan of Solo Sikoa. I buy his rookie cards for whenever I can find them for about $1. I buy his autograph cards whenever I can find them for about $10. Solo Sikoa is one guy. I'm not trying to throw any shade at him because I am honestly a huge fan of this guy. You know, he lived in the same town that I currently reside in, that I've been in for the last 17 years. He came up around here. He went to high school, not where my daughters go, but to a different school. He played football for American River, which is the community college here. I've always been a big fan of him throughout the bloodline, waiting for him to get his turn. And, you know, he does have a SummerSlam main event to his name. You got to give it to him. But in this last year, he really took the back seat where he kind of like took a managerial role ever since, you know, the bloodline kind of came to a screeching halt. And now he's kind of out of soldiers. And for him to be added to this match kind of shows me that they're still going to be, you know, chugging along with him. If you remember back to the early days of the 2010, 2011 videos, I was a fan of Jack Swagger. One of my first videos was me cheering him winning the championship when he cashed in on Chris Jericho, the SmackDown after WrestleMania 26. I thought that he was going to have a huge career, and even as it started and stopped, I stayed with him until he was done with WWE. I think that's the way I'm going to be here with Solo Sikoa. I don't think it's over. I think he's going to have a big SummerSlam match. You know, I thought that they would set that match up inside of this Money in the Bank match, where basically they would fight over who was going to climb to the top and actually win this thing. And actually that was going to be what set up their fight, where they were fighting each other. And as they were fighting each other, somebody else would sneak up from behind and they would win the men's Money in the Bank. So I'm glad for that. LA Knight, I'm not the biggest LA Knight fan. I think he had his rise to the top of WWE when I wasn't watching. He's just kind of the guy. I know the chant, yeah. I mean, I'll do it when we go to the shows. People were chanting for him at WrestleMania, but he's just the guy I look at, and he's not my star. I'm not going to say that he's not an all-star. People love him. People buy his shirts. People do this, that, and the other. They dress up like him when they go to the shows. But he's just not my dude. Now, Penta, he came to WWE when he jumped from AEW, and they made him as big of a star as AEW ever did. I can remember them having a good little run in the beginning of AEW, and then all of a sudden they just kind of fell to the back. It seemed like they were doing more stuff in Mexico than they were doing for AEW. They never really got the biggest push that I think they really could have. We never even really saw them as single stars, at least when I was watching AEW. To see him, you know, jump onto the main screen, he got like 3 wins in a row, was just like, damn. And they were just presenting him like he was bigger than life. Since then, he sort of came back down to earth. They're kind of cooling him off. Money in the Bank could be something, you know, to project him up the card. When I look at this match, though, Seth Rollins, that guy wants to, that's the one part I don't really understand. Seth Rollins wants to run Raw. He doesn't want to run wrestling. He wants to take over and run Monday Night Raw. He wants to be the dominant force of Raw. So we already know that on Monday, you know, we're going to have a WWE championship match. Jey Uso is going to be putting the title on line against Gunther in a WrestleMania 41 rematch. And after that, everything's clear for him to go after either Gunther or Jey Uso along the way. I don't really understand a world where Gunther is still on the Raw roster if, in fact, Seth Rollins wins this match. Even if he doesn't, I don't see, you know, Gunther falling down to the mid-card And I think that anything that Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed is involved with, I think that is going to be your main event storyline of Monday Night Raw. And what does that really leave Gunther for? So, I mean, if I was a SmackDown brand, I would be calling up and just basically be trying to offer Gunther anything to come home. If Gunther wins the championship come Monday, I don't know what that does for Rollins either. You just hold on to Money in the Bank and just keep beating up the main card wrestlers that aren't involved in the championship match. If you want to run Raw, you got to be the champion. I mean, that's just the only way I can think to run it. So, do they get involved on Monday? I'm not quite sure. But, I mean, if Rollins was to try and cash in at the end of Money in the Bank, you would think that Gunther would be there trying to say, hey, you're not doing this tonight because on Monday I have my championship shot. If you want to talk about this after Monday, that's fine. But then again, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker being there, they're going to have the numbers over a solo, Gunther that doesn't have, Kaiser waiting in the wings. Or does he? Is he going to start building up his own heel brand by bringing him back into the fold? So this is going to be a good match, a really, really good match. I think there's really good players in here. Everybody's going to have a time to shine. But I just think it's too loaded down with Seth Rollins in this match that Seth Rollins has to be the Money in the Bank winner for 2025. All right, here we go. WWE's Money in the Bank 2025 main event has to be John Cena, your WWE champion, teaming up with Logan Paul against your former WWE champion Cody Rhodes, as well as his good friend Jey Uso. If we go back about a year in the past, no, that was probably like 2 years in the past, because Cody held the title for about a year. Cody and Jey Uso struck up a friendship when Cody brought Jey Uso to Monday Night Raw, where they won the WWE tag titles. It was not a long run. It was not a monumental run. It was more remembered by them showing up drunk to the after pay-per-view press conference. I guess is the one thing more than anything else, with Cody Rhodes saying yeet and such. But I don't know. This match, honestly, to me, has more questions than it does answers that I'm hoping that we're going to get, come Saturday night. John Cena and Logan Paul. We can start there. I do not understand the friendship all of a sudden between John Cena and Logan Paul. On Saturday night's main event, after John Cena had defeated R-Truth, John Cena found Jey Uso in the back, and we had sort of a stare down where basically they had a little talk. And I thought they were just kind of setting us up for the pay-per-view that they used to do, Crown Jewel. Last year at Crown Jewel, they had Cody Rhodes fight Gunther. They had a Crown Jewel championship, where it was the Raw versus SmackDown champion, and they received a new belt. This year, Crown Jewel is not going to be taking place in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be taking place in Australia, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if Saudi Arabia is going to give them the WWE Championship for it to be contested, or if they're just going to be ditching that gimmick after 1 year of doing the bragging rights, sort of Survivor Series style Raw versus SmackDown, who is better. I sort of thought that's where they were going. And then John Cena all of a sudden started saying that he was trying to ruin wrestling. He wanted to leave it in a worse spot that it was in when his year in WWE is done. And he talked about, Jey Uso had to wrestle against a YouTuber. And what if a YouTuber went out and won the WWE Championship? What would that make wrestling look like? Probably the world appeal of Logan Paul would spread out that he is WWE champion. He'd be going on his blog, showing off the belt. this, that, and such. And people who don't really watch wrestling, who follow Logan Paul, would be thinking, what the hell is going on? That this guy has become the biggest star inside of their company. And I thought they were just going to kind of leave it at that, as that these guys have a date set up where they're going to wrestle somewhere down the road. And then all of a sudden, John Cena comes down and interrupts Jey Uso's match. I mean, these guys really have nothing going. I mean, if you really look about, like, John Cena, I know that he had times where he did, like, tag team matches with Crime Time back in the day to sort of give him some street cred, I guess you can say. I seem to remember the Usos teaming up with John Cena on Monday Night Raw once or twice as well. So these guys had to at least known each other a little bit. But I don't know why he would want Jey Uso to lose his championship. I mean, there's really nothing going in for that. I can understand if Cena would like to have a champion versus champion match and he wanted to win the World Heavyweight Championship so he could be, the last real champion. He'd have both belts that he said he was going to leave with at the end of the year. That would make sense. But, him being friends with Logan Paul, is that something that we have to go off script and we have to sort of make up our own story? Is Travis Scott or The Rock sort of bringing Logan Paul into the fold? Is Logan Paul talking to The Rock on the side? Is that something that we have to sort of put together? I don't get it. And for Cody to come down and interrupt them interrupting Jey Uso's match, I get that. But for them to hit him to get on the mic and basically say, like, you've got a tag team partner, I've got a tag team partner, I'll see you at Money in the Bank, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, Cody Rhodes got hit upside the head with the title belt, and he got counted 1, 2, 3, and he lost his championship. Cody was not going to be champion in WWE forever, but I think, honestly, Cody had seen his number that day, besides for the outside interference from Travis Scott, as well as the referee going down. And I don't know why he wouldn't want a championship shot as soon as we could get there. Will we see Travis Scott? There were so many rumors out there, like Travis Scott, like he's going to show up. At one point, people were saying he was actually going to wrestle at this show. I don't know. There's been no Rock rumors. Anytime WWE was in LA, whether it was for a big Raw or SummerSlam, we always dreamed about, The Rock wrestling. Not because it's his hometown of Miami or Hawaii, because of the fact it's the land of the movie stars, and that The Rock would have to defend his hometown, and he would want to, fill up, all of his movie star friends inside of the arena to see it. I think things between The Rock and WWE are beyond worse than ever. I wasn't joking. I'm really high on WWE. WWE is the one brand that I like. I don't see myself missing a Monday Night Raw to watch almost anything else along the way. Once Monday Night Football comes into play, that's where things honestly are going to get a little sketchy. I believe that the football season starts in September. So we have a little while until we get to that. And I think the one thing that is hard to do in the app generation is flip from YouTube TV to Netflix. I haven't seen any I have a YouTube TV box. I haven't seen a smart TV where they're able to do it one way or the other. But that is honestly going to be a pain in the ass. And I don't think that my girlfriend's going to go for me having Raw on the TV and having Monday Night Football on my laptop and us watching it that way, because she doesn't really love to watch either. But I think she is going to throw a fit if I try to watch both at the same time. But I don't even know how I got off on that. I think more than anything else, this match is built around two champions are going to be in the ring at the end of this pay-per-view, and somebody at this point is going to have the Money in the Bank briefcase. In a previous video, I picked Seth Rollins to win it. I don't think anybody else takes a chance of winning it. I would say that Rollins has an over 50% chance of winning this match. And, when you pair up everybody else, they can take 40% split between the other ones in there. I just don't get it. And, if Rollins wants to come out at the end of this match, I think with the storyline with Gunther and the Jey Uso versus Gunther match that's going to be taking place on Monday Night Raw, 2 nights after Money in the Bank, you got to think that Jey Uso's going through a table, getting hit by a truck, getting ran over by a car. He's taking some damage. He's taking a beating in this match. And if we've seen John Cena heel-style matches, they're very slow, very drawn out. Wouldn't be surprised if, Rhodes and Uso both get hit with the championship belt. Hopefully Logan Paul will bring some excitement, jumping off the top of something or something like that. He always shows me something that I've never seen inside of a match before. I find Logan Paul to be my breakout star of this year. But I think almost every year he's been wrestling, he's been my breakout star. This year he's really stepped it up, being a full-time guy in WWE, and I'm really pumped for it. Honestly, in this match, I think that Cody as well as Jey Uso have to win it. The story's got to be that Jey Uso is just getting beat down and beat down and beat down. Do we see Seth come out and try to cash in? If I'm Gunther, I try to break that up because of the fact that you already have a match, and I don't want to fight. If I'm Gunther, I don't want to fight Seth Rollins, even though he went through a Money in the Bank match. We've seen Jey Uso get his butt kicked on Monday. We saw him, basically going to get his butt kicked in this match, and then he's going to have to turn around and wrestle again in 2 nights. And, with Seth Rollins, you're going to have Bronson Reed and you're going to have Braun Breaker that you have to mess with along the way. But then again, also, if you think about Gunther's conversation in the back, he was really honestly saying some really positive things about Jey Uso in the back. That he was a better champion than he thought he was going to. You got to give it to him that he's really helpful with his friends. And I don't know, maybe we could see a babyface turn for Gunther coming out of this, where he's the guy who steps up to Seth Rollins, and we have a Seth Rollins versus Gunther string of matches, and we find out what Gunther's like when he's in WWE and he's not actually being a champion or fighting for a championship. But this is going to be a fun match. I think the story is more about everything else that's not happening inside of this match. It sucks that we are going to have 2 really good matches on this Money in the Bank show, and everything else just kind of seems like filler to get us through. I don't know. I just think WWE is in a weird spot right now. They're putting on good shows. Nothing is groundbreaking. Nothing is new. You always know that WWE is going to be hitting on all cylinders from January until April. It's just a matter of how long they can keep it going. We all know what September, October, definitely November, December are like, where you're just like, get us to the Royal Rumble already. But we'll see what's going on. WWE taking some strays in the news right now. It kind of seems like the internet was thinking that WWE was thinking they were bigger and better than they were, and they're trying to bring them back down to where they were. I know that there's the big AEW All In show coming. The amount of people coming out saying that WWE is bad right now, I don't hear a lot of people saying the opposite, that AEW is better. So maybe just people are just... Maybe there's a lot of people that jumped back into wrestling that all of a sudden are losing interest, that'll come back in January next year. And those are the people sort of grumbling. I don't know, but I'm watching the show. I'm looking forward to having a good Saturday. I'm definitely looking forward to having a good Monday. I wish I knew more about Mexico. I'm not telling you that I'm definitely not checking out the Win Worlds Collide show, but it's not on my list of things that I'm planning on doing. If I'm finding myself on the couch, I'll turn on Peacock. I'll check it out and see what I can see on there. But we'll see. It's going to be one hell of a weekend. Los Angeles, WWE, Money in the Bank 2025. Let's go.